Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 is probably the most difficult game in the series to complete from start to end, and it was never that difficult of a series to begin with. I mean, all you did in the first few games were these goals that the game would tell you to do with no reason whatsoever. And you're just like, alright, fine. Floating skate letters, secret tapes. Does this guy actually skate? Who even is he? And after 4 games, we've gone from 50,000 points being one of the hardest scores to get to 1,500,000 points. It makes sense though, right? Like, of course the game is going to get more difficult as the series moves on and players get to figure out intricacies with the mechanics. But this jump was just huge, and it wasn't for everybody. And that's just one way Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 was harder than any other game in the series. Sure, you can argue that Project 8 or Pro Skater 5 was harder, but one of them was heavily dependent on slower ragdoll physics and luck, and the other was Pro Skater 5. God forbid you play this game. I say that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 is the most difficult in the series because there were so many more unique goals than the previous game offered that nobody was prepared for. The game really tried its hardest to do something new while still retaining the identity that players loved from previous games. And most of them were really hard to complete. But how difficult can we really make this game? The game was pretty hard even with max stats, so how about we play this game with 0 stats? Other people have done it before, so how hard can it possibly be? Spoiler alert, it's not pretty. You really need to have a good understanding of the game and use everything you have in your toolset to make it far. You need to take advantage of a lot of glitches, a lot of speedrun tricks, and know how to use the balance meter, because 0 stats is no joke. There are a total of 176 goals that can be completed with one skater, and it's broken up into 3 sections: amateur goals, pro goals, and secret level goals. There's also a pro-specific goal to get those pro goals, but I'll get into that later. Alright, so the first thing to do is to have a character that has 0 stats. None of the pro skaters can go lower than their base stats, so the only solution is to create a skater and lower their stats to nothing. And to fully get used to what playing with 0 stats is like, it's best to go to the practice ramp first. And oh boy, it's a lot different than what you're used to. You don't move as fast, your ollie height is super short, and spinning in the air is slow. For more practice, try getting some of the cash icons in this area. You get just enough height in the ramp to collect these cash icons floating above. To remedy this issue, you should always be in a situation where your special meter is full and you're never skating around in a switch stance. You want to maximize everything you can, and being in special mode would help you do that, even though it won't be by much. A quick 180 bonus to judo always does the trick to have your special meter up instantly. Then you should be able to skate a bit more comfortably. Some other things to keep in mind is that we're on the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 engine, so butt slaps are not an option in this game. What the hell are you talking about? Butt slaps are a trick found by players which essentially make you stack 3 or 4 ollies in your jump after rolling off a ledge, which would have been very useful. And after unlocking the secret character Jango Fett of Star Wars fame, he has a special trick that gives you a huge jump boost after it's performed. But that trick is only specific to Jango Fett and can't be assigned to other skaters. I'm also only going to be focusing on the goals that make it really challenging or difficult to complete with 0 stats. Any other goal I don't mention won't make a difference if you have max stats or 0 stats. I mean, there's 176 goals, there's no way I can talk about every single one. Finally, the minigames and cash icons are optional and don't really affect playing with 0 stats. But I did want to make this video as Ollie the Magic Bum, so the real challenge here was getting the money by playing tennis with a skateboard. It's a lot harder than it looks, okay? Now that we've customized our skater, it's time to begin our 0 stat challenge in college. I don't have much to say about this level, and I say that because all the goals here were intended for you to complete with very low stats. Grinding down banners, collecting pink elephants, sketching the professor's car, they're all pretty straightforward. There is, however, a medal the competition goal in every level, which requires you to get 2 high-scoring runs out of 3. There is a way to do these goals very quickly by doing a bunch of manual extensions, doing a high-scoring special trick, pausing immediately after the trick name appears in your string, then ending the current run. The total amount of your trick string will count towards your run, and you can easily get a medal without trying. But there are some competition goals that won't let you do this, like the one in Shipyard. Not to mention, there are score goals in every level that make you actually land combos. That's why I want to take this time to very quickly explain how to get higher scores as fast as you can. This should be very helpful not just in this game, but in every Tony Hawk game you want to play. It'll only make sense if you have a general knowledge of the game, and I'm gonna echo a lot of what other people have said before. Alright, okay, so... You always want to be in the air at all times. Air tricks and spins are some of the best ways to build your score. When you're in the air, don't use the D-pad to spin. You have a short windup when you do, and it prevents you from doing more tricks. Dedicate your spins to the shoulder buttons or triggers. You spin a lot faster, there's no windup, and you can free up your thumbs to do more tricks while you're in the air. Also, when you do a grind or a manual, respect the balance meter. The balance meter is very sensitive, but not too much to a point where it's inconsistent. When you do balance, only press the D-pad very gently, like less than half a second, and try not to overdo it. The more the balance meter shows up, the more it'll go haywire. And every time you do consecutive grinds or manuals, the game will penalize you by making your balance meter move extremely quickly. So that's why you want to use grinds and manuals as little as you can. That's because the game encourages you to find new lines in the combo and heavily punishes you if you repeat a trick or repeat grinding the same object twice. But really, higher scoring is just a ton of math. If you want to build your base score, aim for grabs, spins, and long grinds. Increasing your multiplier is best done with single flip tricks or manual extensions if you're ending the combo. Maximize your use of special tricks without repeating them, and your score will be skyrocketing in seconds. Okay, that's all. Anyway, all of the goals in college are completely doable when you keep all of that in mind. But this is just the first level, and there's a ton more we have to go through. Moving on to San Francisco. A lot of the goals here are very straightforward. Lip tricking the pier signs, racing to get camera parts, saving the painter from a hungry shark. Almost all of these goals are pretty easy to do with 0 stats. The only missions that might be a struggle are the Eric Costin missions. The first one requires you to manual along the walkway, which does test your manual balance and D-pad presses. The other one wants you to manual, then gap, then manual a bunch of picnic tables. This one can be pretty tough normally, but if you get special and get a running start, then you should be able to clear it within a few attempts. Other than that, San Francisco should be easy to do. Then we're gonna head out to Alcatraz Island and help out some prisoners. The goals do start to ramp up in difficulty, but they also get weirder. There's one where you have to entertain a jail block full of ghost prisoners, and another where you have to stop a ranger trying to hypnotize all the tourists.
Oh my good lord, Ranger Bob has gone and amassed an army of hypnotized tourists. Scott is evil plotter will surely lose this island. Knock him off that ledge!
But there are 2 goals that can be problematic. One of them is jumping on the bullseye and getting 400 points. This one's difficult because you don't have the speed or the ollie stats to make it to the center of the bullseye. As far as I know, getting to the bullseye is not possible. So to make it a bit tolerable, doing a 360 boneless to a double tap grab and an optional flip trick right after dropping in should fill your special meter in one jump. After that, just go through the loop, aim, and ollie normally. You should have enough speed to reach the yellow part of the target, which will give you 50 points. Do that 7 or 8 times out of 10 and the goal is yours.
Right on, that was seriously the best run I've seen, and I am lying right to your face. It sucks!
Then escaping Alcatraz requires you to collect a bunch of tools that are laid out in a line leading to the ferry boat. The jump from the rooftop to the pool below is very tight, so make sure you have special prior to the jump and angle yourself properly to get the 2 items that are in the air. Then when you reach the baseball diamond, you want to grind the pipe twice to get enough speed, then side jump to the right to catch the railing below you. The hit detection for these items are very forgiving and should be able to collect them no problem. After that, you reach the ferry and head all the way back to Kona. Kona is home to one of the worst missions in the game. And I'm not just talking about the snake run slalom. Yes, it's super difficult and I really hate doing it, but there's virtually no difference between completing this with or without stats. But there are 2 goals in this level that are far worse. The first is the infamous Misty Flip over the hut, and it takes a bit of luck to air over the hut even with max stats. But when you have 0 stats, you could only ollie up to the hut. The gap won't register unless you go from one bowl over the hut to the other bowl. And this is where the trick comes in. I don't know what it's called and I don't want to botch giving credit to other people, so please let me know in the comments what this is. This will only work if you're approaching a high enough vert ramp. When you go off a vert ramp, there's a point in the ramp where you'll air off the ramp as usual, i.e. go straight upwards. But there's a part right before the area that doesn't register as the ramp. To do this trick, you want to ollie right before the vert area starts, so that you land directly on the tip of the vert area, converting all of your forward momentum to your jump height and giving you the opportunity to ollie or boneless again. Ollie too early, you won't land in the vert part at all. Ollie too late, you'll air out of the ramp normally. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to call this the vert glitch. This is a pretty difficult trick to get right, but there are a ton of places in the level to practice this. But for this goal, once you get the first jump and land on the vert area, just hold up to air out of the bowl, ollie, and input the Misty Flip. No need for a boneless. You'll have just enough air to clear the gap and do the special trick, completing one of the hardest goals in the game. And that brings us to the next goal, saving the birds that are on the power lines and pooping on the half pipe. Here you gotta scare away the birds that are on the power lines by holding a lip trick near them. To reach the wires, you can do the same vert trick on this ramp. You can do the lip trick without the vert glitch, and you could just barely reach the wires, but it does require a bit of luck. So doing that isn't going to be an option. I want to say that this is harder than the Misty Flip goal since you have to do the vert glitch 7 times, but at least it's a lot easier to perform it on this half pipe. This one is all about consistency, but you get up there, lip trick a few seconds, do it 6 more times, and that's Kona. Then we go to Shipyard, where we're gonna spend most of our time. The first goal that will cause problems is gapping across the suspended containers. It might seem impossible when you first try it, since you can easily air out of one of the containers and have to restart the goal, but the secret to this is to get special then spine transfer really early. The game will let you spine transfer like normal, and you can easily complete this goal no problem. Then, I'm pretty sure everybody knows this goal. Doing a special invert on a suspended freight container from bowl to bowl. This goal is already the bane of my existence normally. And how the hell can someone do this with 0 stats? Well, you kinda don't have to be on that container. Instead, you can do the heel flip front invert right below the container, revert, manual along the left, do a spine transfer to the other bowl, hold the grind button until you're on the outer side of the bowl, then press the revert button again to drop in. The game will just give you the goal. I don't know why this works. It's probably on an invisible checkpoint system, but it works. Don't ask me, I just play the game. Then the last Shipyard mission that'll give you unspeakable nightmares is the dog chase. It can't be that bad though. I could just collect all the bones and land on the... Alright, let's do that again. Follow the line, get the bones, and the goal should be... Nope! Even when you collect that final bone and the timer looks like it's waiting for you to land, the goal ends and immediately fails you. Doesn't matter if you're in a combo. When that timer ends, the goal ends. So you gotta collect that bone and land on the ground as fast as you can. So for the sake of keeping this video moving and to save you from watching the many attempts I took, I'll just tell you the best way to approach this goal because it's so frustrating. First, grind this ledge immediately and trick to the other, hopefully getting your special meter up. Then side jump to the right and land there. Grind on the next ledge and get the bone. Gap to the next ledge, then ollie out and land. Then grind the quarter pipe until you get the next bone. Side jump left and grind the barrier. Then you can grind the left side, then the right side of the barrier, essentially shuffling to maintain speed. Ollie off the barrier, land on the ground, and align yourself. Now this bit is important. Don't boneless. You might think it'll give you extra height, but on this ramp, you want to get just enough height to collect the bone and land on the quarter pipe beside it before the timer expires. After you ollie, just pray you land on the other side.
Thought they had you. Those dogs were nipping at your heels. Good job.
You have no idea how good that'll feel. But that's Shipyard. All the other goals are pretty difficult, but if you know how to balance your grinds and manuals, then it should be a breeze. So after completing the hardest goals yet, what's our reward? We go to London. For a level that comes right after Shipyard, the goals here are actually pretty easy. Well, easy in terms of what we already experienced. The first noticeable goal here is the skate ladder goal. Grind this building so you can reach the S, level out of this quarter pipe, boneless, then grind to reach the K. And then you get to the T, just minding its own, judging your actions from up there. You want to get this T before you get any of the other letters. This looks like a big jump, but remember to get special, hold forward, and don't boneless. It should be just enough height for you to collect the letter. Then you can get the E that's sitting above the parking garage, and the A, which is nowhere near the other letters. The last one here is the ghetto tag grind. This is one really long grind, and you just have to keep balancing all the way to the end, remembering that there's also a gap in the middle. Every other goal here is just learning how to do flatlands, messing with police officers, and saving an elephant. Then we follow that elephant all the way to the zoo. And really, all these goals can be done normally. Helping the lions escape and bringing them back, grinding the banners, sketching the elephant, all can be done pretty easily with 0 stats. Beating the hippos might be problematic, but you have to side jump to the left on this log at the perfect time so you can manual on the other side and reach the third pumpkin that's there. But that's it. If you do all these goals, then all of the amateur goals for every level can be completed. Then you can complete your pro-specific goal at the Shipyard, which is very easy compared to any of the other goals you completed. And that'll bring your total goal count to 113 out of 176. And completing the pro-specific goal will get you 5 additional goals in every previous level. If you thought the amateur goals were stupid, wait till you see these pro goals. So now we gotta go back to college against our own will. Like I said, there are 5 additional pro goals in every level. One of those being a score goal and another being a combo goal. I can just skip explaining the score goal because, let's face it, I gave you the tips on how to score. You're a gamer, you know what's up. So, beat Bob's 3 combos? Done. Get combo letters? Done. Comboing the benches, stairs, and flagpoles? Done, baby. Getting the 4 masters lip gaps? Okay, wait a minute. For this goal, you gotta lip trick up to the roof of 4 different buildings and get their gaps in 1 minute. The thing is, you don't need to get the gaps, and can just lip trick the roof of each building and it'll still count. So you can get 3 of them real quick, with one of them requiring you to take the elevator. But this 4th one is this huge gap that looks impossible to get. You can't ollie up to it, and it looks like there's no other way to get it without wasting time. So we gotta use some jank. The only way to reach the lip of this roof is to get special, approach the ramp while hugging this wall, tap left twice as you're heading up the ramp, and for some reason your skater shoots upwards. And all you have to do is pull a lip trick. This glitch is very finicky, so you want to get this roof gap as soon as you can. But with college done, we can go back to San Fran. If you remember to keep your special meter up, the combo letter and manualing the pad in both directions goals are easy. You can complete grinding the blockers just in time if you manage your time well, and doing the spine transfer can be completed if you have special, aiming your jump properly, and spine transferring very early. We do the 6 score goal of 300,000 points, and all of San Fran is completed. Alcatraz, however, is a bit more involved. The 6 score, I'm not even going to talk about it, you know how to do it. The mega combos are easy if you made it this far. The combo letters can be hard because there's a tricky jump when trying to get the first O, and most of the time you won't get enough speed to land in a grind. If that happens, try a manual beside it and grind the rest of the roof. Then when you get there, jump and grind the Alcatraz building to get enough speed for the rest of the letters. And then there's manualing the switchbacks. A lot of people hate this goal. Manualing a super long distance while doing 180 turns? It's a true test of skill and it requires a lot of patience. But let me fill you in on a little secret. The game makes this goal easier for you. If you can fill the special meter and use this ramp to get a bit more speed, when you manual around the first bend, you'll notice text appear indicating your progress. And when that happens, the game secretly resets your balance meters so that it's not as wonky as it should be, making this goal a lot easier. The developers noticed how hard this goal is normally, so they gave you a little assistance. I mean, it's still hard, don't get me wrong, but it's not as hard as it should be.
Oh, you got it. That was amazing.
But don't worry, there's another goal that's far more sinister than this. The last goal here is to get 6 pictures for Atiba. The first picture is this tight jump over this crumbling wall. Then we gotta lip trick a railing, but it's too high to reach. So we gotta use a speedrun strat that requires skitching a vehicle for a few seconds, whether it's moving or not, letting go, and then immediately grinding objects. Every time you grind, you get a small speed boost for a few seconds. But all you really need to do is grind 2 times after skitching for a few seconds, then using the speed boost to quickly get up to the railing. The rest of the pictures after that are pretty straightforward. Complete this goal and you've conquered Alcatraz. Then we go back to Kona. The 6 score here is 500k, which is easy enough if you've gotten this far. The combo letters are along a snake line, which isn't too challenging. Lipping on the tombstone is very easy and really shouldn't be a pro goal. Then the King of Kona challenge can be difficult if you get intimidated by the high score total of 1 million points. In this goal, you want to focus on getting most of your points in the first area. Every area after that is so consolidated and there's nowhere to get a good combo. The last goal, finding all the channel gaps, is kinda stupid. There are 7 channel gaps in this whole level. There's one at the top of the level, which looks difficult, but should be a breeze if you have your special meter full. Then there's one on the bowl, one on the half pipe, 2 on the far end of the street competition area, and 2 in the middle of that area. One of them is really easy to get. And then you see the one right beside it. There's 2 wide-sized roll-ins that are in between the ramps, and there's no way to get across it normally. But you can air off the right ramp, revert as soon as you land on the first roll-in, then try to gap across the second roll-in and land on the second ramp. The game will count this as a gap, even if you bail. With that, all the goals in Kona are done. On to... oh, not again. Shipyard had some terrible amateur goals, and that's still the case with pro goals. The 6 score is now getting scarier, but you can use these tracks to get some high scoring grinds. And the rat goal is just following along the line, then crossing the bridge near the end to squash the rodent. The next 3 are something else. The pro combo letters are a pain to get, and that's only because there's this huge elevated area you have to get into for the last letter. And after a lot of attempts, I realized that after you get the M, you can ride along the tracks to the left side, air on this quarter pipe, revert, air to the quarter pipe in front of it, and grind to the right side. Follow along the rails, and you could get enough speed to air into this elevated area for the last letter. The next goal is transferring from one container to the other. And just like always, we gotta use a little trick. Instead of actually completing the goal, why not just get the gap that's required? From the start, we can wall ride up to this green container, grind it, and make our way to the left suspended container. When we get enough speed, we can level out of this container, grind 3 times, ollie onto the rooftop, manual, air on the quarter pipe, revert, and without doing a boneless, air straight into the second container. That should give us enough air to clear the gap and complete the goal. One of the dumbest ways to complete it. The last jump does take some practice though. It's a very specific speed and height you have to get. The last goal though, doing a lip trick transfer on the crane, was the worst goal to figure out. The idea is the same as lip trick transferring the suspended container. You don't have to air up to the crane to complete it. There had to be a way you could just lip trick the area below and combo to the second ramp in order to complete it. And there was, but I gotta explain one last trick in order to complete it. There's a glitch in a lot of the Tony Hawk games where you can ollie out of a lip in any direction. There isn't much use for it in scoring, but it'll be very useful here. This one only works for lip tricks that have your board planted on the coping, not with a hand plant or an invert, but with a stall. When you're in the middle of a lip trick animation, right before the balance meter shows up, hold the D-pad in the direction you want to ollie to, in reference to where the camera is. So for this example, if we hold left, we're gonna ollie towards the crane. If we hold down, we're gonna ollie towards the other ramp. But for this goal, we're gonna hold left to ollie towards the crane. Then when you see the lip trick name show up, jump, and you should be on the crane. Now you want a manual. Don't grind, but manual along this left railing all the way to the other quarter pipe. Now since there is a slope that could screw up the whole process, you want to carefully ollie on top of the ramp. Not on the platform where the ramp is, but ollie and land on the ramp itself. That should trigger the goal to complete. Why does this work? Don't ask me, I didn't make this game. But the goal is done and that's all that matters.
Well done!
Okay, I need to speed this along. London, the score's more intimidating, but literally just keep doing tricks. The combo letters are really hard to start, but just get special, then level out of this quarter pipe and bonus to get the C. Then after you get the B, side jump to the right to get enough speed for the O. Muska 6 combos, they're just combos, we've handled worse. Grinding American cards, they're in a line, there's no secret to this. Tricking on the south banks, just go mental, go crazy, find everything to trick on. Nothing too special, so we move on to the zoo. Combo letters can be difficult if you don't know a good route. When you get to the B, you can grind the top of the Koala Cafe building, jump out, manual, then grind along the line cages to get the last letter. Scare 40 birds, just grind along the inner railing and keep balancing. Jumping over Elephant Rock though does take some time, but you want to use the same skitching method that we used in Alcatraz. Skitch for a few seconds, grind along the fence, then send it over the rock. You shouldn't be worried about overshooting since the quarter pipe does carry over to the other side. And then getting Kong back will take a bit more skill. Remember that vert glitch we used back in Kona? We gotta use it again, but now we gotta lip trick these 2 railings in a short amount of time, because they reset if we take too long. So get special again, do the vert glitch on the very short quarter pipe, and boneless up to the railing. Then hold the lip trick for about 2 seconds. Then do it again without any errors or wasting time, and the zoo should be completed. And with that, all of the pro goals and amateur goals for every level should be completed, making your goal count 148 to 176. And now we're moving on to the secret levels. They both cost $15,000, which should be enough money if you've completed every goal so far. And they have their own set of goals, but they're a lot harder than the ones we've encountered. These last 2 levels hold the hardest challenges you'll ever find in the game. But now we head to Carnival. The skate letter goal is only difficult because of the placement of the A. Just level out and bonus to get that letter, and the rest is easy. Ringing the bell requires the same principle. As soon as you start the goal, just wait until there's about 30 seconds or so left on the clock. The tricks will fill up on the screen, but it'll never fail you. So again, air out of the ramp, level out, boneless, and hope you reach the bell. After that, continue your combo and hit all the tricks in a single combo. It looks intimidating, but it's not that bad when you only have to do 8 tricks in a single combo. The next difficult goal is try not to boot. In this goal, you gotta take a tour of all the rides in the carnival. And the only reason it's difficult is because you have to reach the top of the Ferris wheel. And the goal is set up in a way that you have to lip trick one of the cabins and wait for it to reach the top. But really, you could just level out and land on top of one of the cabins and wait until you reach the top. You do only have one shot to get this right though, since the timer is pretty short, even if you got the previous rides quickly. But once you reach the top, you can dive down headfirst and grind the barricade of the Thunder Cups. Then there's grinding the roller coaster. Just wait until both coasters pass you and do a single grind all around the track. It can't be multiple grinds, it just has to be one. The gap will only show up if you do a single grind. Then doing a 900 on the rocket ride is easy if you do the special trick as the rocket is coming down. And now I can talk about the score goals. First, there's one where you have to get 750,000 points in 2 minutes. Then there's one where you have to get a 500,000 point combo. And then there's the ultimate goal of obtaining 1,500,000 points. These score goals are gonna suck. But if you've already done the previous score goals, then you can get this one. Even if you're hindered with 0 stats, you just gotta keep tricking. Keep doing special tricks, keep doing spins, keep your balance meter steady. Just keep doing them tricks. With time and a lot of practice, these high scoring goals can be completed with just a few combos. It's a true test of how well you understand the game's mechanics. But with that said, the game's biggest scoring goal can finally be finished. Now there's one more goal that's even worse than getting 1,000,000 points: taking down the banners. After you medal in the competition, you're tasked to take down all 4 banners in the farm pit. And to do that, you gotta lip trick each banner until they fall off. The problem? You have to hold that lip trick for 3.5 seconds. You might think that's not that bad. I mean, manualing the switchbacks take a lot longer. But the lip trick balance meter degrades much more quickly than grinds or manuals. So you really gotta lock in. As soon as the balance meter pops up, that timer starts. And it's the most frustrating thing to do in this game. If you thought manualing the switchbacks were hard, try doing that 4 times in under 2 minutes. That's what it feels like. The only way to complete this goal is by pure balancing skill. There's no other trick involved. You need to know how to balance in this game. The only way I was able to do it was by doing the switcheroo lip trick so that I could get the right amount of time to mentally prepare myself before I have to balance. It may be a placebo or something like that, but that's what worked for me. It also does help that you can bail after the banner has been destroyed, and it'll still count towards the goal. Bottom line, this goal really sucks, and it's not for the faint of heart. With all of that done, Carnival is finally complete, and we can move on to the last level, Chicago. First of all, the score goals in this level are 900,000 and 1,500,000 points. Just keep doing tricks. This map doesn't have a lot of good lines going for it, but you can go to the river for some long grind opportunities. Next, the skate ladders can be tricky. The A is at a spot where you can't wall ride to get up to the rail, so you have to make a very tight jump in order to reach the railing. Then the bridge challenge asks you to do a series of tricks over the river. The first set is easy. The second set, a little harder but doable if you do the shove it first, then the Japan grab. Then for the third set of tricks, you want to use the skitch glitch. Find a car, skitch it for a few seconds, grind the hood, and send it. Be careful not to overshoot it and angle yourself so that you're not slanted. That leads us to the next and final goal for the career, doing a 900 to the ferry's top deck. This one will take some time. You gotta use the same skitch glitch, but you have to air off this specific part of the bridge and straight to the top of the boat. The problem with this goal is that you have such a long distance to travel between the long line of cars and the part of the bridge you're supposed to ollie off of. And if you take too long to jump after skitching, then you'll lose your speed boost in seconds. So here's the best way to approach this goal. You want to skitch this line of cars that's going towards the bridge, then ollie and grind the hood of the car. Then grind the left side of the bridge twice, and then grind the fountain and jump out quickly. That should give you enough speed to clear the gap, do a 900, and land on top of the boat. But you do need a specific speed for this. There will be times where the speed boost will last right up until you reach the jump, or you could do the glitch too well and overshoot the gap. This goal is just a lot of trial and error with what speed will work. But after you complete that goal, then all the goals for your skater should be completed. And then you look at the game progress to marvel how far you've come. And you notice you're missing 14 goals. So yes, you can finish every goal with your zero stats character, but if you know this game, then you know that every other character has their own pro-specific goal. You know, that action movie goal that we had to complete in order to unlock the more advanced goals. Well, every skater has that kind of goal that's specific to them and requires playing as them to complete it. That means changing characters and going back to base stats. But you can still complete these challenges normally, and then it'll become unlocked for every character to try in the View Goals menu. So naturally, you could also do these goals with your zero stats skater. You don't have to do these goals at all. I just want to see how far we can really push this game with zero stats. So let's go through them one by one. This time we're going to start with the zoo first, then work our way up. The only pro-specific goal here is Bob Burnquist's broken loop gap. For this goal, you have to do tricks in the loop gap. The problem here is that you don't have enough speed to reach the other side of the loop. Even when it looks like you can make the gap, gravity just says no and sends you back to Earth. The solution to this is simple. Just hold Ollie. That's it. As long as you're not in switch stance, you can clear the gap without ollieing or with your special meter full. The only trick you want to ollie for is the Samba flip. For this one, just ollie off the loop early and input the special as fast as you can. The game will let you float to the other side and complete the goal no problem. On to London. The only fitting challenge here is Jeff Rowley's. His goal requires you to do a flip gap grind sequence in 3 different spots. The gaps are just barely reachable with 0 stats, and you have to do the exact grind the game wants. They take the difference between a front feeble and a back feeble very seriously. With that said, the only real issue with this challenge is the first gap. To clear the first gap, get special and bonk the first rail. Then try to ollie very late and input the flip trick. You should be just able to clear the gap and grind along the entire series of rails. The tricks after that should become easy. Just keep in mind if the grind you're doing is frontside or backside, and the goal should be done. Next is Shipyard. Bucky Lassek's and Eric Costin's pro-specific goals are here. Bucky's is easy. Just get 5 high-scoring combos in a crumbling ship. If you need help, you can combo along the perimeter of the ship with special grinds and wallies. For Eric Costin's goal, you have to grind 3 long rails around the shipyard. Because of your speed and rail balance stats, this goal can be hell on earth. But the secret here is to only rail when your balance is getting super wonky or if you don't have enough speed. Then you could do a 180 and switch stance, which slightly resets the balance meter. You want to pay attention to your stance pretty frequently. You want to do regular grinds, switch grinds, fakie grinds, and nollie grinds to really maximize your balance. After that, just keep balancing and the goal is yours. Then we go back to Kono, which holds Steve Caballero's and Rodney Mullen's goals. Both of these are extremely easy. For Rodney's goal, just keep doing this set of tricks in a combo. When you do get to double tap tricks, try to do them off of ramps and fun boxes to get extra height. For Steve Caballero's goal, just do tricks over and under Rick Thorne. They're really not that bad. Then we can't stay away from Alcatraz. Here we got Bam Margera's, Alyssa Steamer's, and Rune Glifberg's goals. Bam's goal is the Shopping Cart Olympics. The only problem here could be the hurdle section. When you go around the second bend, you want to jump as soon as you touch this kicker. That should give you enough room to do a tight jump over the last hurdle. After that, the rest of the goal is the same. Next is Alyssa's, who has to do an insane gap over a wall. And this is where everything turns sour. For this gap, you can get a huge buildup by grinding these rails leading to the gap, but it's just way too far. You can't go around it, you can't wally part of the wall, you can't even cheese it by getting the gap to appear. Whatever you do, you cannot make this gap. You can't even go away from the area to try to skitch glitch. You're locked in this area and you can't do anything about it. No trick or glitch could bypass this goal. So sadly, this is the first goal you can't complete with 0 stats. But maybe Rune's goal could be better. For this one, you gotta do a series of tricks in the pool, and the first 2 are easy. The third trick does require the vert glitch just so you can gap over the plank. The fourth one is a little bit trickier. You can grind the water tower leading to the rooftops and carefully navigate along the edge. If you go too far in, then it'll reset you back to the pool. Once you're here, you can hold up a little bit off the lip of the roof, then lip trick the other side of the edge. The gap will count and you can land safely. Unless you get stuck on the edge, then you have to restart the goal. But after that, the game wants you to spine transfer from the pool over the broken area into the water tower. And this is just not possible. You can try to spine transfer from the roof to maintain speed that way, but Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 doesn't save your momentum when spine transferring off a huge roof. Because of that, Rune's challenge also can't be completed. But we can now go to San Fran for Chad Muska's, Kareem Campbell's, and Andrew Reynolds' goals. Chad Muska's is just keep tricking and don't bail, and maybe you could get a record label. For Kareem Campbell's goals, you have to do roof-to-roof gaps while doing a bunch of flip tricks. Here you can stick to one roof gap and combo all of the tricks that show up together. It's really not that bad. The carnival goal is a lot harder than this one. And then there's Andrew Reynolds' goal. It's the same principle as Alyssa Steamer's goal, and it's just as difficult. Do a huge trick over a huge gap. The first gap is completely doable, but the second gap is where you'll get stuck. You have to ollie over this walkway gap, and you can land on top of it, but never over it. Once again, you can cheese it and have the gap show up, but the game won't give it to you. You're also closed in with invisible death walls, and there's no way to get any more speed. Because of that, this goal also can't be completed. Then on to college, one last time. The first one here is Jamie Thomas's goal. This is basically the same thing as doing it with base stats. Nothing else has really changed. Just remember to take the elevator to the last picture and you're good. And finally, there's Tony Hawk's goal. His goal requires you to do a huge gap to a scaffolding that gets further as you progress through 3 sets of tricks. The first 2 sets of tricks are very easy, but as soon as you reach the 3rd set, you get to the special trick area, which means you have to do an Indy 900 from a gap that's too wide to connect to normally. You need so much speed and so much air to not only clear the gap, but to clear it with any of these special tricks. So that should be the end of it, right? Well, there is one way to clear this goal, and we gotta manipulate some tricks. Before you do the strat, you have to assign the first 2 sets of tricks to a single grab. And to do that, you have to carefully assign your grabs to the proper spots. We can assign one of these grabs listed in the set of tricks to these double D-pad tap slots, and it'll let you keep them. So for example, I wanted these grabs to be a nose grab for the first set of tricks, and the other 2 grabs to be a Benihana for the second set of tricks. So we assigned 2 nose grabs and 2 Benihanas for these double D-pad tap slots. And then we can swap those duplicated grabs to the ones that are used in the challenge. So this nose grab can be changed to a tail grab, and it'll swap over to the down circle grab. The other nose grab can be changed to an Indy, and it'll swap over to the right circle grab. You can do the same with the second set of grabs, but this time swapping the Benihanas with a Japan and Madonna. That way, every trick you have to do will be the same, and you can just do one trick over the gap and it'll count for all 3. Now here's where you want to be careful. You only want to do this for the first set of tricks. The second set is done a little differently. This time, when you do a Benihana over the gap, do a revert. And by the time the score totals up, immediately do an ollie as soon as you can. Like, almost on the frame. That way, the gaps will show up twice, which will count towards the set of special tricks, causing you to skip through the final set of tricks and thus completing the challenge. And with that, the final pro-specific goal is complete.
Great job!
Even though 3 of them couldn't be completed, that's 11 of 14 pro-specific goals that shouldn't be played with a created character done with 0 stats, bringing the total amount of goals that can be completed with 0 stats to 187 to 190. Now in terms of completing all the goals available to the custom skater, then all 176 goals can be completed with 0 stats. You'll need a lot of tricks, a lot of glitches, and a lot of skill to complete them. But if you really wanted to bring it to the extreme and see how many of the available goals the game can be completed with 0 stats, then you're only missing 3. And these 3 goals may look doable, but it won't work with this engine. Sure, maybe if we were in Tony Hawk's Underground or something, then we could use butt slaps or use the speed from spine transfers. Then these goals can be completed with ease. But that's why this game was so difficult. These goals ask you to do some weird things you wouldn't expect to do in previous games. And it was their way of expanding the game to more than just doing things in a 2-minute timer. If you really want to try to test yourself on an ancient game, then you absolutely can. But be warned, this is one of the hardest Tony Hawk games you could play, and doing it with 0 stats is just asking for you to suffer. But with all of that said, I gotta play something that doesn't involve getting a high score on a virtual skateboard. I mean, it's not on a skateboard,